I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend it.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Let's Discuss.
Let's discuss this.
Let's discuss this. Well, tonight we're going to discuss a non-superhero movie.
That's up for debate.
Superman was mentioned quite often.
Yeah.
I don't know why the color of Superman matters.
I've seen superhero movies with less outrageous acts.
If it was an Asian Superman, what would you call it?
Oh gosh.
What? I'm just wondering. Like, if it was an Asian Superman, would we say, like, why is there a yellow Superman?
We might.
I think it's really strange that there's, like, one acceptable venue where we can use a color to denote an entire species.
We do now have to start saying there's white Superman.
White Superman.
Okay.
Jewish Superman. Look at the Jewish Superman. Children, look and point at the Messiah of the Judaic people, written into a popular segmented comic book magazine.
And now
If you
we're
look at
We can discuss that in a minute.
We might have to. I don't know.
Might
Mostly,
be
we
might be
should
a nice
talk
little
about.
topic, actually.
Yeah, we should talk
John, you
about.
said you didn't want to talk about Superman.
I don't, because then it takes me down that road where I have to discuss why does nobody ever say, "Look, I'm Black Batman."
Batman's technically already black, at least.
Well, if you haven't guessed what we're talking about yet, it's the movie Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw.
not
other
sponsored
words-
by Hobbs and Shaw yet.
Yeah, we went and saw Tango and Cash, the 2019 edition.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, come on, that's
All right.
right?
Let's go around and
There was somebody injecting drugs.
let's go around and let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then also introduce or tell us how many of the Fast and the Furious movies you've seen.
Oh, yes. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
That's unique. Okay, cool.
If you've seen all of them, or if you only seen a couple. So
I'm Sean. I've seen all but the 7th one. And honestly, that's only because Dan actually... I had seen like the first 1 or 2, and then I just didn't really watch the series. But then Dan a couple years ago was like, oh no, it's a great series. So I went back and watched them. Except for I just haven't gotten around.
You're welcome.
The 7th one.
Good
And
Lord.
they're entertaining. I'll say that.
That's a word for it. Yeah, they always have solid entertainment. It's like, you know how they call things like chick flicks or whatever. These are like dude flicks.
Yeah.
They have pretty women. They have over masculinated solutions to problems. They have awesome cars. They have cool fight scenes. You know,
Well,
it's
just like
dude flicks.
It's just like the meme where it's like where girls cried and it's some Twilight scene.
Yeah.
Where guys cried and it's the scene from the first Fast and the Furious
Where the car
he's getting ready to go drive like off into the sunset or whatever.
in the GTO.
He was getting ready to sacrifice himself, Paul Walker.
Oh well, Paul Walker. That is sad and
And then he finally
about him.
did die.
Well, you know, okay.
and then his character got to sacrifice himself.
There you go. At least you got to do that first. My name is Tony.
Power of
I have seen the first Fast and the Furious, and I believe there was also one that was in Tokyo where they were driving
That's the third one.
sideways. I've seen that one and that one. I do believe that's it. And I've seen Hobbs and Shaw. So that was very entertaining, though. I felt like it was a lot more entertaining than the first one. My favorite part of the first one was just the vehicle, the goat.
Oh yeah.
That was the most amazing thing. All the other cars kind of sucked. They were all made out of plastic and whatever. And I was like, okay, let's get over that. You know.
It was a tribute to
silly
good
stuff.
American engineering.
Yeah, the only car that was really cool in that whole movie, that was that. And I was a Vin Diesel fan back in the day. And Michelle Rodriguez I was always a fan of. And this is my third one, I think.
There's been very few movies I've seen Michelle Rodriguez in that I didn't like.
I liked her in Resident Evil, too. She's just a good actress.
She keeps coming back from the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's tough, man.
I'm ready for Avatar 2 for her to show back up again.
Oh, yeah.
Possible.
I'm ready for her to show back up again. I don't know if I'm ready for Avatar 2, but yeah, we'll agree to disagree on that.
John, you're
The
thinking over
last
there.
Airbender.
So do I need to say my name?
Yes.
Yeah, say your name, even if we say your name.
Yeah. John, say your name, John.
Even
My name
when
is John.
around you.
Hi, John.
Say, baby, I love you.
Oh yeah, because I started it. and
Right,
you
you did
finished
it. I just
Yeah, you
finished
did.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't
Anyways,
have to say you love me.
So how many movies have you seen
I've
in
seen
this-
Harry Potter.
in this?
No, not how many Harry Potter movies have you seen. How many Fast and the Furious movies have you
I
seen?
realized they both had magic.
Yes, pretty much. I think
Certainly
I've seen
advanced
all the
knowledge.
Fast and Furious, but I couldn't tell you I remember all of them. If I saw them, I know I saw them, but I couldn't tell you like what's.
At a
going
certain
on.
point, it definitely becomes kind of a
blend.
mashup
I can
of,
tell
like,
you there's
action
attractive
sequences.
women in a lot of them.
Yeah, because I feel like I did see one where there was that Tyrese model guy that was also in the Transformer movies.
Yes.
I feel like he showed up at one
He's been in a
point,
couple of
Yeah,
them.
he's been in a couple.
and
of
there
them.
was like they were in a blue car and they jumped it over something.
Like a
Oh, the one where they jumped onto a boat?
Yeah, it was on the ocean.
That was number
Two?
two?
yeah.
Okay, so maybe I saw 1, 2, 3.
They had Ludacris in it?
Not.
I thought he was the guy
No,
in the
he had,
first
like,
one
the
that
afro,
was
right?
like.
Yeah, Ludacris has the afro.
Yeah, he had an afro
Yeah.
in that one.
See, I have a weird thing where I see movies, I don't really remember which movie it was. I just remember the entire story that I've seen.
I feel like that just happens in that movie series because
No,
I feel
no,
like
it
if I
happens
told you, hey,
on it.
have you ever seen Thor: The Dark World? You'd be like, oh, that's the one where Natalie Portman got the red ooze inside her.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I do remember that
Yeah, you know what was going on. But in a series of movies that are all exactly the same with a lot of these same
no,
characters
one.
doing the
It's-
same things.
It's kind of like watching
There-
a Netflix series, though.
If you watch the
I
first
don't remember exactly which season something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember, oh, these characters went on a really long weekend.
Do you own all these movies or something?
Yes.
Then we will all have to sit and watch these in some sort of binge watching of the most Fast and Furious weekend we'll ever have. We'll all have to sit down and watch these because I honestly am
That's
not
going to
sure.
be too fast and almost too furious.
It'll be furiously faster than that.
It'll be infinitely fast and infinitely.
You'll find
Yeah.
yourself drifting into Tokyo soon.
We'll be the Fast Five.
This is the final fast time
Oh,
at Ridgemont
You're
High.
not going to let me do
No,
anymore?
that's
Okay.
it. Oh yeah,
My name
introduce
is Dan.
yourself. Yeah, tell us how
And
many
I
you've
have
seen.
apparently seen all of them.
Because you own all of them. If you own them, you've probably seen them, unless the rapper's still on it.
It's not completely.
That also doesn't mean that I haven't seen it. Just because the rapper's on it doesn't mean I didn't watch
That's my favorite part about watching DVDs at Dan's house. You go to pick one, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's really good." You pick it up, and it still has saran plastic wrap around it. It's like,
Oh, it's got the new movie smell.
yeah, you haven't even watched it. And he was like, "Oh, I was pretty sure I had." He read the back of the movie, and he was like, "Good enough." Throws it.
According to Dan, that is good enough. 'Cause he's like, oh, I know all the tropes that are going to happen. In it.
He reads a plot line on Wikipedia.
It's good enough. Whoop, and he just throws it onto the shelf, and somebody will eventually come over and want to watch Attack of the Three-Headed Shark.
That was a great movie.
It was awesome. You're
I
right.
saw advertised Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. Looks almost as spectacular as the movie we just saw.
Sharktopus versus the whale wolf.
Yes.
All right.
It looked almost
Now-
as spectacular as Hobbs and Shaw.
You got to remember though,
Calvin
that
didn't show up in this movie, though.
somewhere there was a meeting, and somebody pitched this idea of a sharktopus versus a werewolf,
Whale
and it
Wolf.
was accepted.
Whale Wolf.
Yeah.
Whale wolf.
They're probably
made it
at the
worse.
sci-fi.
Somebody decided
Meeting.
this was a great idea.
There's a YouTube series called Pitch something, that I really enjoy for that
Pitch Perfect.
thought.
No, not that
It's like-
entertaining.
it's
No
like
Rebel
the-
Wilson.
It's like pitch meetings or whatever, and it's this one guy talking to himself, basically.
Oh,
He's-
I know what you're
oh,
talking
yeah.
about.
He's the
Yeah,
writer
yeah,
and the producer. Or
Yeah.
He's
whatever.
just
I know what you're
constantly
talking about.
pitching through the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember that about the Dark Phoenix movie. That
Yeah.
was a different. Let's discuss, which you can go back and listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could if you
there were
wanted to. That's a
strong
good
opinions
idea.
in that one.
There was some very strong opinions.
There are stronger opinions about Spider-Man, but I feel like there are some strong opinions about the X-Men. I don't feel like we're going to fight about Hobbs and Shaw, but I could be wrong. I didn't think we were going to fight about
Well,
the Dark Phoenix or
I'm
Spider-Man.
just gonna say, Hobbs is the best
Hobbs.
Hobbs that, like the Hobbs from this
Dwayne
movie.
Johnson being Hobbs is the only Hobbs I can imagine ever being Hobbs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, that too.
Honestly, the first
I don't
Fast
think
and
I can
Furious-
imagine any other person playing Hobbs.
The first Fast and Furious movie
Except
that I
maybe
saw
a
him
tiger.
in, he like comes in like a wrecking ball as this completely unrealistic, over the top CIA agent type character,
DSS.
whatever.
DSS.
And I'm like that's-
Driving safety security or something?
but-
what does that even mean?
but-
Department of Strategic something. I
something
don't
like that.
even
But
know.
anyways, but he comes in and is completely over the top, completely ridiculous, completely unbelievable. But I want to believe it because it's The Rock.
Well,
It's
to be
fun.
fair,
It's a
Yeah.
fun character.
to be fair, he was facing off against Vin Diesel, who could stomp holes in parking garages.
Diplomatic Security Service.
Okay,
He's very diplomatic.
Yeah.
I
Very.
got that from him.
He
yeah.
speaks
Remember
long
that
with
old
his fist.
2x4 we used to have called Diplomacy?
Because
That's him.
because people like him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the smile.
All right. So I'm Scott. I'm the moderator for Saturday Night Gaming.
Oh yes, we need you to introduce yourself too.
Yes.
He's the ringleader.
I believe I have seen all the Fast and the Furious, but like Sean said, it's kind of they blend together.
Yeah.
What was the latest one?
The Fate of the Furious.
Is Fate of Furious?
Where Vin,
Is that the where Vin turned on his?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I saw the
Yeah, so I have
preview.
seen them all. I've seen even the most recent one. Then
Yeah, Vin turned
so,
on
okay.
all of his friends.
and they go to Russia to stop nuclear war and are driving on ice.
See, that movie
Versus
feels
the
like
one
one
with
of
the
the
tank?
movies.
the tank was in that one, right? I think there's a tank in that one.
Now, Triple X doesn't count as one of
Yeah, I
these
think there was
movies,
a
does it?
form of a tank.
Yes.
That's a
I think
whole
we're
different
close.
series.
It's a similar series,
That's cool.
but it's not the same.
No. All right, so yeah, so I have seen them all.
Although Vin Diesel was in Triple X,
Yeah. I felt like it was the same movie.
I mean,
So is Ice Cube.
he's basically the same character, but he doesn't have the tattoos yet in the Fast and the Furious series. After the Fast and the Furious series ended, he got 3 X's tattooed on the back of his neck and started working for the government.
And then learned a new language, which is Grutanese,
Yeah.
in which he
So
can
that's
only
a
say.
That was
totally
after
different
that.
movie we're
Yeah.
not talking about. So
It's definitely all tied together.
not at all.
He's all the same person.
Not at all. Speaking of which, I'm glad you say that. So let's go around and let's see what your thoughts are on this first spinoff. You know, of the Fast and Furious. You know, for the universe, basically, for
Okay.
this universe. So what are your thoughts
I
on
am
that
going
with
to
this movie?
say,
Start with you, Dan.
starting out on the Fast and the Furious series, I didn't realize that they were actually going to be connected movies. Like, the first and the second one, they did have the same characters, but it didn't really feel like it was going to be a connected universe.
I don't think it was intended that way. It just kind of
And then-
evolved into that.
Some writer around episode 4 decided, you know, all of this happened in the same world. But the fact that they actually did a Fast and the Furious movie without Vin Diesel for the first time, well, second time.
Second time.
I almost forgot about Tokyo Drift.
A lot of people do. You don't really count that
Well,
too often.
actually, I think he did show up like for
Yeah, I
about
think
a
he
minute at
shows
the
up-
very end of it.
Like, real close to the end of it.
Yeah.
that's just.
But it
Yeah,
was
that
just
doesn't
so
count.
that what's-his-face could call him and say, hey, I blew up Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a good job spinning off the 2 antagonists as a buddy cop movie.
They're like protagonists now, though.
But they were antagonists.
Like 3 movies
Like
ago.
they turned their antagonists into people who can carry their own franchise.
I think they're more
Well,
like
because you
supporting
were always
characters,
rooting for
and
bad
they kind of put
guys.
them in there as the...
Yeah.
So the good guys are the bad guys of the bad guy movie.
Yeah, this is what sparked people to want to see Maleficent and all of those type movies, is because the bad guys can be the good guys.
No, I think that people just wanted to see that because of Angelina Jolie. And then ended up saying, okay, maybe I like the bad guy when they walked away. No, there's no huge... Maleficent didn't change the world when it was written or when it
Fast and
came
the
out.
Furious changed the world.
I don't think
and
the
made
Fast and the
Maleficent
Furious
possible.
did either. I think that it just like... It didn't occur to anybody that all of these people either A, didn't get along, or... Most of the time I get lost in what they're doing. This is the first one I felt like I could follow from the beginning of the movie all the way to the end, and I didn't get lost. They didn't just start talking about an engine for too long. They didn't show some sort of complex car building montage. This
was a
one was but it was pretty fluid throughout the whole thing. They were focused more on the actual plot line of the movie. This virus they had to get cured, the girl, the fact that they were ripping off Tango and Cash completely. Like, okay, we have the uptight brother with the suit who has a little sister who's a little bit more wild and crazy, who has a thing for the more countrified, Americanized, down-home justice guy. It is Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
Like, the whole movie from beginning to end is Tango and Cash. There's no way around it. They didn't even rewrite it. They changed the names and then put them in Samoa instead of RV from hell driving through a business complex.
I didn't see The Rock once stab a tanker truck and then lick his knife to see if it
No,
was
not
cocaine.
because he wouldn't be Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone is Tango. That would totally be Jason Statham's character. He would do that. And whereas The Rock
He would
should have
have, but he
had
didn't.
cowboy boots that had guns in them.
That would be awesome.
That would have been awesome.
And totally believable within the series.
I would have, if he had jumped in the air and shot somebody with his boots, I would have been like, okay, that's supposed to happen here.
Going back to what you were talking about with the antagonist, so to speak, I think the point you were making with the Maleficent was that there was more... They have layers, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Onions and ogres.
Exactly.
And
Ogres
parfaits.
and they have layers. Like,
Yeah.
you get to know a little bit more about the kind of background of these two characters who you didn't have time to explore that in the Fast and the Furious movies because it's focused on other things,
Well,
but it kind of gave you that ability to do that. And so I'm curious of when we see the next, movie in the franchise of, when I go and see these characters again, it's going to be pretty neat for me to see them in a different spotlight now. After seeing these events,
I feel like this made the most sense out of what their characters could have been. I guess I didn't see the last few movies where they would have been in them.
There's a lot of retconning in this, I think.
Right?
Was there?
there is.
Like, as far as, like, well, maybe not retconning is the right word, but it was like, was it Jason Statham's character was Shaw?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaw was like, he used to be an agent, and he was framed.
Well,
so he
no,
wasn't
that
a
was
bad
actually
guy.
in.
Yeah, that was actually in it.
Okay.
That was
Again,
That was
mush.
in his initial
Yeah.
intro.
Yeah.
Was that he was a traitor to the MI6?
Yeah, but I mean, again, they at the end of this or towards the end of it, it was like, oh no, he was framed and all this kind of
Well,
stuff.
you kind of always got that feeling.
Yeah. He's still a traitor though.
Yeah.
But I think we skipped John.
We didn't skip him. We just get to him yet.
Oh no.
We just haven't done it yet.
We're doing the 5 points.
What do you think, John?
How do you feel about it?
How do you feel about this being the spinoff?
How do you really feel about it?
As one of the only other people in the room that's actually seen all of them.
And one of the people who hasn't actually seen Tango and Cash to know it was ripped off.
I played a game called Starsky and Hutch once.
That was a good show.
Yeah, buddy cop beginnings. That's pretty much what.
Anyways, what I thought about the movie, or the spinoff,
Yeah.
I mean,
The quality of it.
it felt like a Fast and Furious movie. just like it felt
Actually,
kind of like it at the ends.
Well, I mean, it had the makings of it. You had the girls, you had the cars, you had the action scenes. I mean, all that
honestly,
is what Fast and Furious movies.
That
are
was
like.
the only tie-in I thought was that they had like the chop shop, they had some fast cars, they had like towards the beginning they had a scene where they go into these places with these scantily clad women dancing around and all that stuff. That was the only really connective
That was
tissue to
really
me.
good.
There's always
I like that
one
part.
scene like that in almost every one.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
exactly. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of the
Because it's a
trademark part of
dude
the
movie.
movies.
Like, they're going to show you pretty girls. They're going to show you fast cars. They're going to show you a dude that's better than you at being a dude.
Well, that's
They're going to show you
the
a big gun.
aspirations, yes.
Oh my God, did you see Dwayne Johnson's gun?
Dude.
Like, that was huge. Mr. Rockstar, that was an amazing pistola you were carrying there. Looked like a 44 Magnum. I couldn't really tell, like with a modified railing system,
Yeah.
but
So what were you talking about, John?
Beautiful.
What part at the end of the movie is what you're talking about?
Just when like
the Voltron cars.
yes. Well, the train of cars pulling the chopper thing.
The
and there was also-
transformable Megazord cars that could just like
Yeah.
click together with ease.
And somehow detached from each other, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just hit buttons.
Well, like,
It's fine.
okay, so the first
Don't
guy
worry about
comes
the
up
chains
and
that
he
3 of them
actually
had to
throws
use.
the tow hooks
And they just
and he got
perfectly-
some. Now, that one I'll say, okay, sure, why not? There's a chance that could happen. But then the next guy comes up
drops his ball.
and just drops it real quick so that it makes them by momentum
Yeah.
force into the front.
Honestly, you know what that reminds
But
me
it
of?
was the last car. When the last car came past and actually had like a thing equipped on it just to attach to the one.
Well,
that
he's
it was
the repo guy on the island.
But it just went ahead and attached to the car right in
Honestly,
front of him.
Yeah,
I think
he's-
that would have
he's
made
the
more sense
repo
if they
guy on the
actually
island
applied that
just
to all of
backs
them.
up the
think that was
cars.
Max
Like
Exactly.
ahead of time, like that
I
was a
just took it
pre-planned
as
thing or
magnet.
something.
Yeah, we all like to drive in a line or something. But it was very funny that we had this Peterbilt. It was like Optimus Prime, and then he had all of these Transformer mini-cons that attached to him.
And then there's the Captain America
when the
moment.
helicopter's like, hey, I'm going to lift you off the ground, which I'm fighting with it. But yeah, the front wheel drive juiced up version, and I remember John after the movie was over, he said, how possible is that? And I was like, that's like having enough SPF on to go walking on the sun. It's so impossible. None of that would have happened.
Wait,
The Rock holding one chain
Okay,
and another
That's what I'm saying, that was
chain.
the Captain America moment.
Okay, yeah, the Captain America moment. But see, Captain America, we're at least supposed to believe that he's a super soldier and may be able to do it. And that was just a regular helicopter he was holding on to. This,
Well, you do
he's
realize-
holding on to a friggin' Huey, and he's saying, okay, hold on, and then enough slack, and he throws it back into the tow thing and starts reeling it.
Yeah.
Because even he was like, dude, I couldn't do that.
Well, you realize.
But everybody
Rock
wants to
is-
have this moment in their movie.
Oh yeah,
I'm
but
holding
you
this and I'm holding this.
Realize the
and
Rock
I'm
is who
flexing.
Captain America dreams of being, right?
Huh?
he is Captain Samoa. Rock, I'm
I'm
gonna
no
need
longer
royalties.
participating in their conversation. I'm gone.
Rock, I'm gonna need royalties when that movie comes out.
But there was also the chop shop scene. As soon as they opened up that chop shop, it's like, yeah, this feels like Fast and the Furious right now.
Yeah,
I just,
Yeah.
but it was totally legit.
yeah.
The chop shop was legit this time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it wasn't like an illegal operation.
Now they do custom builds.
Yeah.
But they didn't focus on it for
Yeah.
a long time. The old movies, it definitely would have been at least 20 minutes of the movie just zooming around different angles of those, which,
To be fair,
they did do some of that camera work in this movie that John was talking about last night, John McClay was talking about, where they zoom the camera in unrealistic fashions that a real camera cannot physically do. And you can tell at
notice
that
that,
point
honestly.
that it's... Oh, there were scenes
I've
where
seen
it's
that
like
before. I know what you're talking about,
droning
but-
in and out, and it's like you're supposed to imagine that a drone camera caught this.
That was actually something I thought was kind of cool. Was some of the ways that I didn't notice that, but like some of the ways they actually shot some of these scenes.
Some
like,
of the
side by
scenes were
side
very
and-
pretty. Like actually, when they were
Interestingly
in
done.
Samoa, which hopefully that was Samoa. We'd have to look up if they actually went to Samoa, but I'm believing them when they're telling me that's Samoa. That was very beautiful. And the pan shots, I get that. That was great. But like some of the things when they were driving, sliding under the two trucks, and they're whipping a camera like around the truck really quick.
Yeah.
That kind of throws me for a
There was
loop.
the one like at the beginning where it's like goes around that girl and it obviously shows you like a picture of her like backside, like just right there, and it focuses on Shaw. It's like obviously a drone wouldn't be able to do that.
Right. So it's like some sort of CGI effect that they do so that we can see her backside.
Yeah, exactly. That's
And
the entire
I
point.
appreciate that they showed us the backside. They could have just stayed on that. And I would have believed it was a camera. So would John, as like what I think that he's trying to say.
For the next hour and a half,
Just her
that shot.
backside.
I think Tony's putting words in John's mouth.
That would have been a totally different movie.
Would it have? I would have gotten just as much out of that movie. I agree with John completely. They should have just...
That would have been a different type of action movie.
But
Yes, exactly, the butt. That's
this
what we're
didn't-
talking about.
this
Her
didn't
butt was
feel
great.
as much like the Fast and the Furious movies
Yeah, I agree.
that came before it.
Yeah.
But that's fine because it's not a Fast and the Furious
Oh,
movie.
absolutely. I love how they forged their own
It
path with
felt
it.
very similar to like the mechanic movies that
Yeah.
that Statham has
See that.
done.
And then the Italian
And
job
then-
joke that he made.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's
it also
supposed to be
felt-
the same character the whole time.
And it also felt very similar to the Rock's movie where he was,
G.I. Joe.
yeah, basically. I can't remember the
G.I.
name
Joe?
of the movie.
They're talking about the sky.
G.I. Joe.
Rise of the Cobra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was that too. I was thinking of the one where he was.
Jumping out of a skyscraper?
No, he lost his leg in that
Oh
one.
no.
Yeah.
It was a giant gorilla rampaging through the city.
Rampage.
Well, there was that one too,
I think he's thinking of the one that had Kevin Hart in it, where he was
where he was
CIA
agent.
he was a
Central
buddy cop.
Intelligence.
Yeah,
Central Intelligence.
Yeah.
But a little bit of the play that they had back and forth between Statham and The Rock
Yeah.
Yeah.
is the only real thing that kept that from feeling as serious as the mechanic or the
Yeah.
or some of the other stuff.
Transporter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, Tony.
Uh-oh, where am I at?
We were talking about
The
Being
backside of the lady.
The backside of the lady was excellent. I felt that they did not sexually demean her at any point in time in the movie. I think that they focused on her in a very strong character stance, and she got to do some really cool stuff. I feel like her backside was not actually the question, though, John. How does this feel
John
as
was
As a
focused.
spin-off.
as a spin-off? I mean, obviously, since I didn't get too wrapped up in the Fast and the Furious, and this wasn't like F&F presents Hobbs and Shaw, it was just Hobbs and Shaw.
No, it was actually
F&F.
Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Well, I didn't see that in the title.
It was
Was it just like written
It's
in like with
the
between
very
the
top.
letters?
Very small.
Where was
Go-
this at?
at the very top in the title scene
Yeah.
It showed at the end of the movie too.
and at the
Yeah.
end.
And on the
I just saw
posters.
Hobbs and Shaw. Well, I can see it on your phone when you pull it up.
No, Googling it, I just started typing Hobbs and Shaw, and it's Fast and
I
Furious
got
presents
you.
Hobbs
I
and
just
Shaw.
never saw that on the thing. So anyway, well, fine. They should totally kind of just take that off because it doesn't matter. They did a really good buddy cop movie. They did some good effects. They did some fun, outlandish storytelling with it. Towards the end, when they're having the fight scene with what was his name, Brixton in this, the cyborg.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brixton.
Cyborg Superman.
Yeah, Cyborg Superman, which I would have accepted if they had said that. I just thought that last fight scene was really, I mean, obviously not really well choreographed, but it was very pretty CGI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good CGI, and they did a good job with that. And Jason Statham always does a good job with fight.
There were some elements of the last
choreography.
fight scene that reminded me of the fight scene at the end of The Matrix with Neo, because the rain and like cutting through the rain.
With slow punch
Yeah.
faces
Yeah.
and stuff. It's just that we've come a long way in the actual CGI
Yeah.
since then. Even, I mean, that was pretty back in the day. This is extraordinarily pretty to watch because you can't quite tell
Yeah.
where the CGI breaks.
Honestly,
and
even
the cinematography.
that's something I thought was like there were parts of this where with the cars that you could tell they were CGI, but it was pretty close, pretty good facsimile. Whatever. It didn't take you too much out of the movie as compared to the Fast and Furious 8, where there were CGI cars in that, and that was just like a year or two ago, where that was like, oh, that is very CGI.
Well,
I'm just glad talking
Marvel
about CGI.
Studios has revolutionized a lot of CGI. Disney and Marvel Studios have done a lot of work to actually bring us to the forefront of our technology. As far as like rendering,
You're right. Well, you're right about that. Like with the Avengers Endgame movie, something that hadn't been done before was the Hulk. When the way they did Smart Hulk,
right?
That was a new, unique challenge for them, and the way they had to present that on screen. They had to actually develop a new way of capturing that. They didn't have any technique previously that could be used for it. And so they had to just go think outside the box to make that happen.
But
So,
I mean,
yeah,
they're
you're
all
right.
a part of an
It's-
industry that's been doing that for a long time. Because you got to think, Lucasfilm has been rolled into Disney for a while now. They're all a part of it. The people at Marvel Studios that have been working on different things, trying to make things look realistic since the beginning. I just think that they're making huge leaps and bounds. I mean, to me, it feels as amazing as it must have felt for somebody in 1977 going to see Star Wars for the first time. And you don't see any strings holding up the ships. You don't see where these things are coming from. Your brain can't really fathom how it's not real, So there's a lot of quality to it that I think is really coming a long way. So in that fight scene today in this movie, to keep it on the topic, when they're doing the certain punches and you're seeing the faces extend out and everything, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of hard to tell I know that there's some computers cleaning up the effect. I just don't know when that stops and when good cinematography enters and how much of that is intermixed. They're doing a very good job of meshing all that together.
Yeah.
Like you're sometimes watching it and going, man, they just pumped up the frame rate for this
Maybe,
scene,
yeah, like had a
and it was
360.
actually just them.
Right. Some of that feels like it could have been, and then some of it has to be cleaned up after the fact. I mean, the 360 shot that they do within a lot of movies to get that slow-mo, the Matrix technique, that's always amazing to see. And I think that some of that technique was used, but I think that they also save a little bit of money sometimes by running it through a rendering system. And I just can't tell the difference right now. Do you remember
They
back when we
blend
were
everything
kids
well.
and we went and saw that Final Fantasy, the Spirits Within movie?
Yes.
And that was one of the first ones. They were showing us like a fully rendered face in that same. I mean,
They actually
take out Reboot
hair rendered.
from TV. Like, don't even imagine about Dot Matrix and Bob from the interweb or whatever. But like, this is the first time you're seeing something that's supposed to look real. It's not just a cartoon graphic show.
They
I
actually
went
had
back
the
to
hair
that
rendered
like
in that.
3 years ago, and I was still amazed by how
The Spirits
great,
Within.
Yeah, how great
I
those
watched it
effects
at the
were.
beginning
It's
of this
still
year.
pretty
and it
good.
was still
Remember
good.
because the preview that they showed everybody to get them all hyped up was her
yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
With the iris and even the glare in her eye and everything reflecting. That was our big
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
sneak peek to that.
Oh yeah.
And just think, just from there, I mean, of course, that's probably been almost 20 years now.
go look.
I'd imagine. I mean, if we're almost 36.
Oh, they did great. And did that in Advent Children. They did.
Advent Children was also very pretty.
Yes,
They didn't try as hard to make them look
Forgot about that
real. They had some of that anime quality to them
Yeah.
in Advent Children. In The Spirits Within, they had some of the, you could tell there's still ways to go. It was a very beautiful piece of art at the time, and I think it still is. but-
Spirits Within was 2001.
Right. So yeah, almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
That we've been seeing this stuff evolve. And I mean, it's just, I think that that's where my mind is at on this whole movie and on how I walk away from it, is that it was cool stuff, but just the mere fact, because to me, like how it reminds me of Tango and Cash. Well, Tango and Cash was completely explosives and gun props and blanks and whatever you could do with a stunt scene. So to me, had that movie come out at this day and age with these kind of graphics, this is what we would be given, and it makes it a more beautiful, fun, flowing experience. I mean, I do miss laughing about some of the things you have to pull to get away with not showing something
Yeah.
back in the day. But in this day and age, being able to show certain things, having that weird motorcycle that
The modular motorcycle.
Yeah, it
That
could
was amazing.
turn into
I mean, the
pretty much
motorcycle and his drones were pretty
Yeah.
much more a star in the villains team than any of his.
Oh, yeah.
Kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm voting motorcycle as best supporting.
Best supporting
Yes.
actress.
Those things
Yeah.
were awesome.
They were really cool.
That's what I'm.
That motorcycle was awesome. I was watching it going, I have never wanted to ride a motorcycle
Now I do.
until I saw this motorcycle that will literally come and pick you up
And drag you under
off the ground, drag you through
Honestly, it was like a
It's-
horse. It was like a sentient being.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a crotch rocket.
Side note.
Yeah. If they could make it look like a chopper and then have it
Side
do all that
note,
stuff.
Talking about vehicles that drive themselves, I just saw a video game ad that lets you play as Kit.
The car
the
from
car.
Knight
Michael
Rider.
Knight?
Nice.
Knight Rider.
Right,
Yeah.
Michael Knight.
I was
Okay.
like, oh. But anyway, so back to this.
By the way, every time you
That
keep
car
bringing
was-
up Tango and Cash, I can't help but think of that other stupid movie, The Other Guys.
Yeah,
The
I
other
was thinking
guy.
about that. Yeah.
Every time you say buddy
But-
cop movie, I think of The Other Guys.
Yeah. Well, man, that's something that made fun of a lot of that,
Yeah.
and it's like you don't realize how much of it you grew up on, being our age. But I mean, think about it, like Tango and Cash, Lethal Weapon series.
Yeah.
Holy crap, right? And then even in the Die Hard series, though, you know that Bruce Willis is the focus. He gets a buddy in each movie,
Yeah.
whether it be the cop that was on the ground or Samuel L.
Or
Jackson
Carl Winslow.
Yeah.
Carl Winslow, the guy on the ground. Yeah.
With something kind of funny with like talking
Just
about the
plays
action movie
cops
tropes.
all the time.
Like there were two scenes that I thought was kind of funny with that. One was like when it shows Shaw and his sister as kids, and they set the explosive and like run away and like explodes, and they're like leaping through the air, very action movie oriented. But then there was also when they're blowing up the facility, the Eton facility, and the Rock's driving away, and he actually looks in the rearview mirror and sees the explosion. I was like, no, you're not supposed to look at the explosions.
Yeah. But he's not the classic cool guy, though.
All right, so
Like, he doesn't play as the classic cool guy. He actually enjoys the explosion.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of the things that they did in this to make fun with it, not fun of it, but have fun with
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Like Ryan Reynolds' character.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I don't
yeah.
know if he's in the previous movies or if this was just
No,
this is-
no, this
Spoilers.
was this was he wasn't even in the trailer for this one.
let's finish up with Sean,
Okay.
and we'll go around and say
Yeah.
pick our
As
best
far
and
as
everything.
okay, so as far as how it connects with the rest of that,
It being
like,
being his first
Yeah.
spin-off movie for the Fast and Furious.
obviously like all the Fast
Can
and
we
Furious.
call it the first spin-out movie?
Honestly, I was thinking about this and like, obviously like all the Fast and Furious series, it's like they double the craziness and ridiculous insaneness of the movies, like to make it unrealistic. This one, it felt like it was like 10 times up rather than just a double. Just because of like all the technology and it's Black Superman and these sentient bikes and all this kind of stuff. But I thought it was awesome. Honestly, I was actually thinking,
Why does he gotta be black? Like,
That's what
why
they
can't
call
you?
him.
But why can't you just look at him as a
let it
human?
go, let it go.
He's
but,
human, all right.
But the what was it? They something honestly like watching this. If this wasn't part of the Fast and Furious movie and it was just set like 20 to 50 years in the future, I could possibly take this a little more seriously because of because the technology in it was so ridiculously advanced.
So you don't
So-
think we're already there with our cyber prostheses?
No.
Oh. Because I was really hoping.
But yes, I mean I thought it was definitely a huge step up as far as kind of like the craziness of the series, but it was awesome. I thought it was perfect for the kind of the level of the. I mean, because they are actually like all the other ones, they're just supposed to be able to steal cars and race cars really well, and they get thrown in these situations. This is The Rock and Jason Statham as their superhero cop CIA characters.
fully trained to go
Yeah.
out and do crazy, awesome things, not just be Vin Diesel and hit somebody with a wrench randomly because they walked up on his girl.
Yeah.
So my prediction for the end of the Hobbs and Shaw series, 6 movies from now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with 8.
Team.
Is
They're stopping Thanos.
they're actually going to bring in
No,
Ghost in
Keanu
the
Reeves
Shell
comes out.
style
John Wick.
characters.
John Wick kills them all.
Like Ghost in the Shell world for Hobbs and Shaw. Because there's no way that company is not going to make those kind of advancements.
That's true. Yeah, like where they set this up to be a series and have this be their main manipulating company that's apparently another character from your Fast and the Furious movies related to Hobbs in some way.
I have no idea what that was.
And it definitely seems like it's a female, the way that they did the voice modulations, and when it dropped down to a female tone real quick. When it did that was when there's the look on The Rock's face.
Honestly, there were a few points where like the voice would change, and I'm like, that sounds vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place it.
It dropped down to girl tone, and it almost sounded real when it did that.
I think they might actually touch on that a little more in the next Fast and the Furious movie. Instead of, like jumping into like the next Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Are they having more Fast and the Furious, or they're not just letting this take over?
They're having more. They're
The Rock's not supposed to be in them anymore, from what I understand, but
well, it's because he's got his own superhero persona to be now.
Yeah.
I mean, like legit, he's going to be the Black Adam in his own movie. So
I mean, he and Vin Diesel.
But that's actually what the character's called, is Black Adam. I can't change that. Dang nabbit. He's actually the Black Adam, and he's saying, I'm going to go be Black Superman now.
He's Samoan Adam.
He's Samoan Adam. Yeah.
All right. So for me, I kind of agree with that. I thought it was pretty good for a spinoff. I did, like John said, did have the elements, of like the Fast and the Furious. Like, you were watching a Fast and the Furious production, because you saw certain things in like the chop shop and everything like that. So it still had that feel to it, which is pretty cool. But then again, like you guys said, it had the storyline that kind of went a little differently with different characters. They didn't try to take these characters and make them like the ones from the main series. They actually took them as individuals and ran with it. Which was pretty cool. I liked how they did that. They didn't try to force them into a role that they really weren't, that the characters weren't. Right. So I thought they did a pretty good job in doing that. And I mean, I thought it was a pretty good movie. It really was. A lot of action scenes, a lot of pretty neat a lot of CGI effects.
A lot of fun. Ryan Reynolds, Kevin Hart, just funny, fun.
And honestly,
scenes.
those cameos were probably one of my favorite things in the movie.
Yeah.
To have the first name of Calvin. Just so that it's Calvin and Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know why, but my head's stuck on that, and I need it to happen.
All right, so let's go ahead and go around, and let's go ahead and take your favorite part of the movie, the worst part of the movie to you.
Easy. Okay, I'm not going to have a hard time with this. This isn't Spider-Man. I don't have to deliberate.
No deliberation, huh?
There was some good and there was some bad.
So yeah, your favorite part, the worst part of the movie for you, and then also, let's just do it. It's just a favorite. And
Let's try that.
Okay,
let's see what happens.
Let's do two things. Let's do that.
I honestly, as far as favorite goes, I'm kind of split between two things. One, like all the visuals, the action, all that stuff, but also
you can't name
humor.
all the scenes as your favorite scene.
Yeah. No, we didn't say favorite scene. Saying favorite elements.
Favorite part.
But I would probably, in general, typically the humor, especially when Ryan Reynolds showed at the beginning, because I was not expecting that. And they were purposely making that a surprise, because you notice they don't show him for like the first 10 seconds that he's talking. You just hear this off-camera voice, so you're like...
And he does make the Deadpool joke. Yeah. I just pooped myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But, like, as this whole conversation that he's off camera is like, I know that voice. Who's that voice? And then he shows up like,
it's Pikachu.
Honestly, I thought about that too. But
he's doing a lot of work this year.
He was very much his character. But as far as like the worst, and I went red on my mic.
It's okay. You can still hear you.
But anyway, so the worst part of it, I would say, was probably... some of the back and forth I liked between him and Statham, Rock and Statham. Some of it seemed a little forced and a little like the comebacks and the insults just didn't land quite as well.
I'm dragging my balls through broken glass.
Yeah,
and it hurts. I think that was probably one of the funniest scenes of the movie was the two retaliations that they had where he's like, Hearing your voice is like this, and seeing your face is like this. It's like getting God vomited in my face. That's what looking at your face does to me, and it burns. It just burns. Because there's not a huge follow-up to it. It's just the final, and it hurts. It just hurts. That was funny.
But yes, I mean that those are my two things.
Like a bulldog with balls.
Is that your favorite part, Tony?
And I want you to get your balls away from my sister.
Trying to impregnate my sister.
That was just really cute humor. Like it was cute. Like the way that they did that with each other, that was really funny. However, I'd have to really focus to say, like, one of my absolute favorite parts of the movie was actually when it jumped out of the skyscraper. Idris Elba has the girl. You see Statham's coming down in the elevator because he's like, screw that, nobody tells me what to do. And then, of course, Dwayne Johnson, he just jumps out. And it's very unrealistic, but it was a lot of fun just seeing that he beat this one guy and then jump off him to the next guy and, like, get his way down by just, like, annihilating these people. It was really fun.
Well, it was kind of like Skyscraper.
It's kind of probably. I don't know. I didn't see that movie. I should follow more of his movies if this is what he normally does. I had a lot of fun watching that part. A lot of that the action flow that they had in this, the pre-planning that they put forth in it, and like I said before, with the blending of the camera shot and the CGI that obviously had to have been used, was just done very smoothly, very well, and it was fun. Like, it was just fun to watch. I mean, even the moment where he's fighting with the girl and you can tell they're kind of flirting with each other when he first meets her.
Yeah.
And he just like...
Oh, that was awesome.
Screw this! And he just picks her up.
Presses her.
Yeah, he just has her with
that was awesome.
the one hand, and she's like, at this moment, I'm in love with you. And he's like, and I'm in love with you. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch that, and it was a lot of fun to kind of roll with that. Least favorite aspect of it, like I said before, some of the camera shots going a little too fast and going in figure eights. It was way too fast, too furious. It was the fate of the movie to not be liked a little bit because of like
There's a little drifting in there.
Yeah, there was too much drifting with the camera. They were doing some crazy things with the camera, and it threw me off almost as much as somebody saying Black Superman. Just because. And I want to clarify this for any listeners out there. It's not the fact that I don't think that Superman could be a black person or a different color. It's the fact that they have to denote it as such, as if that's the important part of it. It's not another person being Superman. It's the fact that it's a black person. It has to be Superman. I just think that cheapens the thrill of if it could change, why it changed. You know, we don't call Sam Wilson's Captain America the Black Captain America. He's the new Captain America because he's a person. That's my only problem with the whole Black Superman thing. But other than that, just a lot of fun, but some of the camera stunts that they pulled were too roller coastery.
The only action sequence that I did have a little bit of an issue with, it was like this very brief scene that I just thought was a little goofy, was like the big final showdown.
Yeah.
Like, we go off on tangents all the time. Stop like pointing. In the big showdown, where what's your name's character is like standing off to the side, trying not to get involved, waiting for the thing to suck the.
Sure.
Thing
What
out
was
of
her name? Hetty? Hadley?
Hattie?
Annie?
I don't remember.
But anyways,
Vanessa.
There's a scene where she's off the side.
I was distracted.
Where they're all fighting and
By the butt shot.
Right.
And these two guys come in and attack her, and she starts fighting them off, and she has to have her brother come in and save her. I'm like, against two guys?
Well, but she's having all the blood drained out of her system. Hattie?
That was the only thing that was
That's what I
kind of
thought.
Played by Vanessa Kirby.
To be fair, she was having all of her blood drained out
That's
and
what I
then
was
pumped
saying.
back into her.
Yeah,
Was it actually being drained out of her, or was it just
That's
one
why
of
she
those
was-
specific things?
It was actually
No.
pulling the blood
It's
out,
filtering it.
and then putting her blood back in without the virus.
Right. That's why he wanted her on the front line. so he
Somehow
could-
separated the virus from the blood cells.
With the filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It used
The
a
blood
magnetic
filter. Don't disbelieve that part, Scott. That's the most believable part.
It was refabricated by a guy. At
I
a
don't
custom
know
car
about
shop.
how effective that really is in real life.
Hey, no, Hattie was awesome, but she would have been. They did show her being woozy in that whole action sequence
Afterwards.
with the filming of it, and it was like her vision was skewed. She had her
And
blood
she
drained.
was also trying to baby the backpack she was duct taped to that was
Did
filtering
we
her
notice
blood.
though that she constantly got on a pair of like really comfortable slacks? Like
Yeah.
I think the Rock's pants were like tighter and more constrictive than hers.
Was
Like-
he wearing the pants when he was wearing the Maui
Yes.
skirt?
Okay, because seriously, that was the one part that I really kind of freaked out. Because when he runs away and he takes off the Samoan tribal
I remember
skirt,
him seeing the pants underneath.
I don't remember
I
the
don't
pants
remember
being
either.
underneath either. Because I remember like so much of his abdomen being shown, and he's like, "Hua," and now he did. That was really cool. Hearing the Samoan prayer,
Yeah.
the Warriors prayer, that was really neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he rips that little red skirt off, I was like, naked Dwayne Johnson's going to save the day. What the? And then he has pants on. He puts his shirt back on that he had just like stuffed in his pocket. You know?
Well, no, they actually showed like somebody tossed him a shirt.
Sure, let's believe it.
Yeah.
All right, John?
Oh, well, we cut that off real quick.
John's like, I was still based.
John was like, I was going to come with a good comeback, and now you've taken that away from me.
Spotlight.
It's no longer the time.
I guess I like.
The whole movie?
Well, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I mean, I thought it was really pretty funny, and it was unbelievable in certain ways, but it wasn't like a took me out kind of unbelievable type thing. Except one thing that I never really bought completely into was I felt like they kind of made what's his name, Brixton.
Brixton. Yeah.
He's in some scenes it felt like he was like ridiculously strong, and then when he's in a fighting scene, it's kind of like he should be knocking these guys out in one punch. Like when that building falls on him, and he's just okay, but then suddenly in the last fight scene, they're able to punch him down.
Yeah.
Like that kind of felt off to me. And
With
I remember
teamwork.
Yeah, it's the power
Yeah.
of teamwork.
It's
and
all-
if Shonen Jump has taught me anything, it's that the person who works with teamwork always wins.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm
But-
glad I educated you.
You got me into Shonen Jump, and that's the only reason I'm able to accept this movie.
Yeah, but that was probably the only thing that I'm kind of like, okay, I feel like, I mean, the fact that he just got right up after a building fell on him makes me think like, okay.
Don't forget about the truck that fell on him earlier, too.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
also have a truck that he caught.
That's
He
right.
caught it and he was holding it.
Now I kind of could see that.
John,
in a
don't
sense.
try to put realistic standards to my ridiculous superhero movie.
Well, it's just that for some reason that was what like not even the car thing really pulled me out as much as like him that
Them being able to hit him harder.
You got to keep
Yeah.
in mind also, both of them have been antagonists in this series. Both of them have fought.
So this is like
against
Piccolo and Vegeta team up to fight Frieza.
Yeah. Both of them have been
Or Black Frieza.
people who were supposed to be strong enough to take on an entire team of people in some way.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
So it makes sense that they've leveled up enough that their punches actually do damage. And this is totally a role-playing game that somebody is sitting around a table and recording their sessions
Yeah, I can see that.
and then calling it a movie later.
It's one of Vin Diesel's campaigns.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be Sean's next campaign. It's going to be called Hobbs and Shaw now. It's like, welcome to the world of Too Fast and Too Furious.
Hobbs and Hall.
This is like what
Hobbs
I
and
get-
Hall. Yeah. Hee-haw!
Or that would put a different spin on it.
Or Sean's and Hall.
Okay.
Halder.
But anyway.
But
was
yeah,
yours,
I mean, I enjoyed.
Sean and Hall. Wow.
Like I just enjoyed all the back and forth between Hobbs and Shaw. Of course, I thought it was really funny. The guest stars, or I guess that's what you call them,
Cameos.
Guest stars. Cameos. I thought they were pretty good. Oh, what's his name? Comedian.
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Like just suddenly he's hitting there.
Yeah,
It's
just
like
randomly
oh,
appears.
hello,
He
you're hitting
pops in
Ruby.
front of him, but I think it was really funny that he stayed on his knees talking to him the entire
in the
time.
aisle.
He's just like,
I
Crouched
Yo,
down.
honestly
use
watching
your real voice. This is my real voice.
watching that
No, it's
scene.
not.
Watching that scene, I kept expecting somebody to pop out of that curtain in the back, or somebody to come down the hall, or something like that. But it actually
Some
completely
flight attendant or
flips.
something.
Yeah, but the camera actually flips to completely 360 to show him popping out from ahead of them, which honestly is something in movies like you typically don't break that plane.
Right.
You always want like to keep the geography whatever coherent, but unless you purposely want to break that just to be a little disoriented and kind of crazy, whatever.
That was disorienting, yes. But I think my favorite part is kind of been my favorite part in most of the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
Where they go to the location and then they're like, "This is whatever
The
like,
final
This is
stand.
Brazil,
Yeah.
Sparta."
Oh, where they have to let you know that this is like a geography class or something?
No, like when Vin Diesel goes to Brazil and all these people show up and they're gonna take what's his, and he's like, "I don't think you understand. This is Brazil," and people come out of the woodworks to help him out because
out of like some sense of patriotism?
or
Because
whatever.
he just yells out, "This is Brazil."
Like
Yes.
this is
Captain
the
Brazil!
streets. This is. They do it in almost every one of the Fast and the Furious movies,
Right.
and
It's about the location as much as
it's-
what they're doing.
yeah, it's about the location.
And now we have Samoa Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Samoa. And then he actually goes into the prayer, and I went, "Oh, this is a little bit deeper than Vin Diesel usually goes."
Yeah. Now, if I actually got a Samoa Man movie and he said that prayer every single time he was about to beat the crap out of somebody,
Dude, that would be so intimidating.
yeah.
On the flip side, when
Almost
The
felt like
Rock
that was
started
purpose-
trying to quote Nietzsche and Bruce Lee, that felt a little cheesy. That felt a little heavy-handed.
I don't know when
There
he's
has
like,
been that intelligent
there.
character.
What was it? There are things that are deeper within your soul than the philosophy of your mind. And she's like, "What is that, Bruce Lee?" And he says, "I'm flexing this," and then he does like, "And this," and it's
Yeah.
like, that was pretty good.
And
that was a good.
And the look on her
line.
face as he said it,
Yeah.
where she was just like, "Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna have babies. Big Samoan
we're
man
gonna
babies.
start a new series."
Yep.
But
That's a different series.
well, she's gonna be the new mom of all of his kids
Yeah.
while he's off.
They're gonna be
saving
like
the world.
Children of the Fast and the Furious.
They're gonna be like
Netflix
British Samoan.
Oh, that's how they bring
Spies.
in Paul Walker's kid.
Gosh.
Does he
All
have a
right.
kid?
So
Yeah, he and Mia had a kid before he died.
And that's the original
sure.
movie's girl that was
Yeah.
the sister of Vin
Yes.
Diesel.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for him.
well, so
But anyway.
yeah.
So that was my favorite part. Was just they kept that in there. Least favorite
Thank God.
was that
We missed the first 5 minutes. You
the
could really,
previews.
you could hate that
yeah
part.
we missed the title screen.
That's how you missed it.
Oh, we also missed a very end credit, like the end,
Yeah.
very last one.
Yeah. had a
Apparently
lot of
there's
end
something
credits. Thanks,
after the
Tony.
credits.
Yeah, well,
Like,
he didn't
after
say,
the
did you
after
see the
credits.
after credit scene? It's like, which one? One of the two. Oh, there's three. That's what we figured out at the end of that
I think there were
conversation.
4.
Well, whatever conversation I had with the ticket guy that's just yelling at me.
Anyways,
But I think my least favorite part was kind of what Tony was saying was one of his favorite parts, that they didn't really focus on the cars. I get it. It was not characters that care about the cars as much, but they didn't really show you too much about, okay, we're actually working on these cars. They just showed you, oh, this car's custom. Oh, this car's custom. That's why these cars are able to interlock and we are able to repo each other down the line. But they didn't actually show you them.
They just got
working on the
Voltron
cars.
aired in Samoa.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because like in about every one of those, whenever they're preparing for that job, it shows them doing the custom work, like
custom work.
designing,
Yeah.
like when they made the heavier plating for the cars, it's like resist the bullets.
So
and
that
stuff
you
like
understand that,
They
I
didn't
can't
have
drive a
foreshadowing.
regular McLaren down the street and
Yeah,
slide it
I see
under
what you're saying.
a pickup or under a 18-wheeler.
They didn't do that, but then again,
They have to show me that, we're dropping the suspension on the McLaren so that it can slide under this truck. And don't worry about that spare tire that they usually carry, because that's not going to be.
Well, he whizzed right through that too.
I think that goes back to how this was Hobbs and Shaw,
Right.
And they didn't focus on that
Yeah.
because in the Fast and the
But-
Furious, I mean, they work on their cars,
Yeah.
So that makes sense for them to kind of focus and more on that,
Right.
And this one, they're just kind of like, hey, we're just driving what we can get our hands on.
And
most of the time, it's just Shaw driving.
yeah,
Yeah, nice car.
Hobbs really likes his big trucks though.
Well, like
But
Hobbs
apparently
was
the
like he
flat
could
tires
drive,
never
but
mattered.
when it was a moment between who was going to professionally drive,
Right.
it was about Shaw doing
Shaw
it.
is definitely the better
Yeah.
driver.
I was
Between
about to
the
say,
two of
anytime
them.
The Rock drove, it was plow through everything.
Right,
He had
and it
a-
was
Which
there
was
was some-
personality.
I was about to say, it was The Rock. It was literally plow through cement walls.
He focused all on strength.
He plays the
Yeah.
juggernaut.
Yeah. Shaw has more finesse,
Yeah.
and that was like with his driving, with the way he, proceeded through things.
when he walks into a room and starts making out with a hot chick.
finesse.
It was all finesse. A bald man
But
can be sexy.
That's what I was saying. I was expecting it whenever I went in there to see the scene where they worked on the cars and messed with them. And it took me out of it a little bit that I never got to see that scene.
Yeah.
But I am remembering that these are not those characters that work on their cars all the time. Hobbs just requisitions a car and hops in it. And by car, I mean tank or 18-wheeler or whatever can plow through the building next.
Yes.
Or
And
truck.
how much more of a half-hour sequence could we really add in just
And
to see
Shaw
it work?
probably just steals most of his.
Or well,
He had a pretty nice, good collection.
Yeah.
He
No,
did.
Shaw seemed like it was supposed
think
supposed
he
to be in your
acquired-
head that he was the mechanic, he was the transporter, and he was the Italian guy.
Yeah. No, I think those
He, as
are
a
actually
spy, he
headcanon
did
for
all
him.
of those things.
He was James Bond.
Yeah.
Yes.
That actually is all headcanon for me, that he was all of those characters for this series. But they didn't show me car work, and I missed it.
Gotcha.
And that was my least favorite
I
part.
like pretending
All right.
that I can at least understand mechanics.
So
Yes.
mine.
I used to play a video game that let me pretend that I knew what mechanics did.
So my favorite part was the one scene with the two trucks, the two tractor
The
trucks.
McLaren scene.
When you basically took the car, he went underneath it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the favorite part. My favorite part was
The motorcycle.
the motorcycle
Absolutely. Same
with
here.
With a guy
was it
being
Brixton?
pulled
Yeah.
behind it.
Just holding on to the back of it, and I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I was
Really? Because
this
I
is
kind of
great.
actually looked over you at that second because I was like, is this going to be like the space ice non-belief, or is he going to get into this? I wasn't sure if that was like too unbelievable, like the whole
No.
Nightcrawler in
Well,
space thing.
The thing is, this movie's supposed to be unbelievable. That's the difference.
Actually,
Mutants are supposed to be believable, damn it.
the motorcycle
Dang it.
though, when they showed how basically like a smart motorcycle, basically,
Right.
it was
It was a
definitely
drone.
believable to me because it's like, well, I mean, dude, you already seen the dude with projecting with the different trajectories.
And-
He's already got that. The motorcycle's smart too. They're connected to each other. I was
And
totally
he's-
like, yeah, this is totally
yeah.
happening.
And
Him, the
controlling
flying
all of
drones.
those.
As long as it fits
Yeah.
within the physics of the universe.
No, that was pretty good. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I did like it. I looked over at you at that exact moment because I was like, I'm going to wait to see if this is like duct taping a fishbowl onto a guy's head and throwing him out in space.
That was terrible. But
That was terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, like
was
the future
worse.
soldier effect with him controlling the drones was really neat.
And
I
that
just,
scene was where I first realized that he was actually Bluetoothed into all of that stuff.
yeah,
Absolutely.
his motorcycle and those 3 flying drones
Yeah.
and who knows what
this
else.
movie has
were-
colors. Gosh.
It's got
Yes,
it's
Bluetooth.
Honestly,
yeah.
I
Actually,
like.
they were silver.
There was a red band trailer. Oh, why does it have to be red?
Honestly, I actually liked. Shoot, what's his name? Bad guy.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, Idris Elba. I just blanking on names all the day.
Brixton.
I actually liked his character in this so much that I was kind of hoping he would flip sides so he could be in future.
Yeah, he didn't really get much of a
He
chance
was
to.
about to.
Yeah.
They detonated him.
They did. Yep.
Spoilers.
They went the whole Suicide Squad route on that.
Unless he gets down into the water and his battery like somehow reboots itself and then he gets out.
Well, it is salt water.
So,
That's what
now let's see. What was the worst part of it? Trying to think of a specific scene. Oh yeah, the Samoan island when they arrived and had the kind of like the final confrontation there.
Yeah.
The way they're setting it up to be, I don't think that it was executed on like a grand scale. It was like it
I
was
can
much
see that.
less than what I was expecting with everything.
You're
know,
expecting
with-
more Lord of the Rings, right?
Well, I
Well,
was
when they said
expecting-
kill box, you thought they had a lot more of those traps set up.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was just like even the traps going off. It's like okay, it kind of hit a couple of cars and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but it wasn't like all the stuff they were making preparations for and everything they were doing. I was expecting more out of it.
Yeah.
Well, that was to
I do
replace
get
your
that.
mechanic scene.
Yeah.
No.
That's what it was. That was
I
the
do.
mechanic
Yeah.
scene.
I definitely get that because I was kind of thinking the same thing of like they're all lining up in formation with these melee weapons and it's gonna be this epic battle and all this kind of stuff and they start the fight
He's talking about
and
melee
they're
weapons
like there's like
versus
30
things
seconds
that
of
we
fighting
don't-
there and then it shows a
Melee,
little
like
sub
melee
thing going
weapons.
on with the
We don't say
sister
that, but
and then they get out of there.
that's what it,
And I'm
Yeah,
like
I'm
I
sure
was
you understand.
I was kind of expecting a little more there too.
Yeah, I was. And then the helicopter scene that was part of that, I was kind of like, man, is this scene gonna end? Because it felt like really drawn out. Like the whole helicopter scene felt really drawn
They
out.
rented the helicopter for the day. They were going to use it, man.
They were.
Like, sorry.
For real. That's what they did.
That was a real helicopter.
So, I mean,
They were like, nope.
That's probably my least favorite, yeah.
I was so glad talking about the scene, that fight scene. I was so glad that they actually answered the question I had for the trailer of why are these guys with guns fighting in melee?
Oh, yeah.
And they did it with a quick, hey, you got one of those gloves, right? Hack the satellite.
Well, because they had all these smart guns.
With-
But I liked the glove, not that part, but the part for it where she couldn't use the gun.
Oh,
She
she's
used
like,
somebody's
you're not
glove.
going to shoot
somebody
me in the
else's
face.
glove.
She used somebody's glove, but then was it Hobbs and Shaw actually used the guys? They actually bent their arms
Yeah.
and started using them to fire. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
Get around it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they apparently took away his really pretty 44 Magnum, so
Well, it kind of links back to the Triple X movies that we were talking about, though, where you're coming at me with a tank, I'm going to steal your tank and then come at you.
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, basically.
Yeah.
Well, let's go and wrap this up, guys. Let's go ahead and go around and give our ratings on the scale of 1 through 5.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Okay.
what rating are we using?
How many rims are you giving it? 1 through 5.
How many? What?
rooms?
Rims.
Oh,
Rims.
I finished. I added another word onto that.
5 is great. 1 is terrible. You don't like it. It's horrible.
You only
wasted
have
your money.
one rim to
All right.
ride on.
I'm going
As-
with 4 and a spare tire.
Not quite a rim, but a donut.
Yeah.
Oh, it switches to me real quick.
No
Yeah,
explanation. Just
No
4 out of 5.
explanation, just 4 out of 5.
4 and a spare tire.
Okay.
It was real close to perfect, but
Yeah.
it was missing that scene for me, and I had to take that away.
Yeah, it was just an island mechanic scene instead of a car
Yeah.
mechanic scene.
He rebuilt a blood filter instead of a car.
John.
Let's see.
Damn it all.
He did use a 3D printer, though.
I would say a 4 and a zoomed in like car branding sequence where you just zoom into their name and just in the
Oh.
middle of the scene.
4 and a McLaren.
Gosh.
4 and a McLaren.
The product placement was Terrible.
And it's like, and it shows Chevrolet.
Chevy.
I mean, that was just straight up just
Well,
like.
how else do you think they could afford Black Superman?
God. Tony, what about
It's
you?
like when we come so far with racial understanding, and then it gets set back, and by the people who think they're moving it forward. That's what it eats at me. I don't know why that eats at me. Blue Superman. Someday they come up with Blue Superman, I'll just feel bad about that.
Well, that's when Avatar 2 comes out.
Oh God, please.
Go ahead, Tony. What do you rate this?
I'm trying to get there, and people just want to hurt my brain every time I turn around. It's like, oh God.
You know I'm your antagonist.
Yeah, you're my Shaw
Tony and Sean.
to my Hobbs. I mean, I'm obviously gonna be the muscle guy.
Saturday
The
Night
people
Gaming
like-
presents
Yeah,
Tony
Stevenson
and Sean.
Halldorson doesn't flow off the tongue as well.
I would honestly give it like. I feel like it has enough wheels to ride on, so I'm gonna push it up from like a 3.5 to a 4. I'll give it 4 rims for this. It doesn't get a donut, and it doesn't get a Chevy zoom in for me. Only because, I mean, it was fun for what it was fun for.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really good movie. It kind of almost made me want to go back and watch whatever the rest of these Fast and the Furious movies are to understand The Rock and Jason Statham's characters better.
Next Friday.
We'll do it, I guess. Oh, no, I'm going out of town. So when I get back, we'll binge watch all the Fast and Furious.
Or I'll just bring them over one Saturday and loan them to you.
Yeah, or that. I mean, you may have to sit and watch me watch them to make sure I'm actually.
When you watch
watching
7, invite me over. That's the only one I haven't seen.
them. Okay. We'll come over to your place and watch them there.
On VR.
What about
Parking in Danny's driveway is hard to do.
not if you do it right?
No, yeah, even if
So
you
you
do.
say 4?
I'd say a 4, only because I want to be able to say that it had all the plot points that it needed. It had the balance it needed. It just wasn't like blow your mind awesome. It wasn't like a John Wick or something of that nature. Whoa, what did I just see? But it had all of the solid ground to stand on.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, probably the action wasn't up there with that, but I think the humor helped make up for
The
it.
humor was, like I said, it had balance. It had humor, a little bit of drama for the characters so you understood their story, some action, and, just a general good direction going on. So it had all the ground to stand on. It just didn't blow my mind in any way.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one too, because basically in the beginning when they started kind of doing the foreshadowing, it's like I knew when they showed the picture, it's like, well, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Or when Kevin Hart mentioned, hey, if you ever need anything, call me. It's like
It's gonna
I
come
knew
up.
as soon as their truck they were driving just stopped working, it's like I know where this is going next.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like there wasn't no surprises on that, but it was still enjoyable.
It was enjoyable. It just wasn't
Yeah.
surprising. It wasn't
Right.
shocking.
I would say 4, because as crazy and over the top of the movie was, it was really fun. It was really funny. I thought the story was actually interesting. Like the bad guy was interesting, and not just Black Superman, but also like the
Cyberdyne
disembodied-
organization.
Yeah. I thought all that was cool. The only thing that really, for me, kind of pulled it away from being 5 is there were elements that I think could have pushed it up to a 5 for me, but it just the main thing for me was at the end where they had that whole thing about where family and family comes together and all the reinforcements came from all over the island to help support them, and I love scenes like that where it's just everybody coming together and helping. A big scene that I like to point to for this was in that Miracle on the Hudson movie, Sully, where the plane lands on the Hudson and all just
wow, you
random.
went to Tom Hanks. Okay.
But
I was expecting another Fast and the Furious movie where they always talk about family comes first.
No, but what I'm saying is
Right, yeah.
in that movie with Sully, whatever, they land the plane on the Hudson, and just all these random like fairies and everything, just regular people,
Yeah.
just immediately swarm them to try to save these people.
Except that was real. That was.
Well, yeah. But I mean, those kind of scenes always get to me. I always love those kind of scenes of people standing up
heartwarming
doing
humanity group mentality.
Well,
And
that's what's been
that was-
this entire series has all been about family. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. Like every movie is like we're family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were playing with that at the end. They were kind of going for that at the end, but it just didn't hit as emotional as like that scene in Sully did. That's the only thing that really held it back.
Because that
for
was
me.
real.
Right.
I think that's why it hit better. It's like those guys really did that.
Based on true story.
Yeah.
All right. Me, I would have to give. I would say 4. Yeah, I'll give it 4. 4 rims. Yeah, definitely. Just I mean, it definitely wasn't a 5 to me. Just because, like you said, it was a great action movie, but just there were some parts like,
You got to be like John Wick 3 awesome to get a 5 out of me.
yeah. It wasn't just up there with that, but it was a pretty good movie. I mean, it was interesting. They had me, watching from the beginning to the end. I was entertained.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't feel like I was gonna fall asleep during like the slow parts.
And even when they had a slow part, they put on some sort of new hip hop song we hadn't heard.
Oh,
that got
honestly,
good.
I thought the music was great in this.
I kind of wanted the soundtrack. One
yeah.
of the first songs they did, I thought, was this girl named Jane.
Honestly,
She's a
I
DJ,
didn't
but-
recognize a single song in this, but I thought it fit the
I'm
feel
gonna
of
be
every scene so
completely
well.
honest. I didn't even notice there was music.
He was too distracted.
He was too distracted by the lack of mechanics.
Like I didn't even notice.
Yes, we'll go with that.
There was
Wow.
music in this movie.
Yep, there was.
But no, I mean, I thought they fit the scenes with. I mean, like the
Yeah.
tone of the music and everything would just
That's
work
usually
so
a good
well.
sign for
Yeah.
me.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you.
I
I
only
thought
really
it did
notice
well
the
too.
music if it jars
I thought it
me
did
out
pretty
of the scene.
good. The transition scenes and everything. I thought it pretty good.
It was good. It was good music. Kept it all hyped up.
Yep. Well,
Kept
all
your
right.
heartbeat going.
Well, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna end this now. So this is great. Thanks for joining us for
Quick question.
Let's Discuss. Yes, Dan.
If we had used any rating system other than the rims, do you
Yes.
think it would have gotten lower ratings? It just
Yeah.
feels psychologically wrong to give a car less than 4 rims.
Yeah, because then it couldn't actually drive. If he'd said how many Infinity Stones do you get it, I would have been like, it gets 1 Infinity Stone. I don't know.
I was just trying to differentiate this from
He was trying to make it fun, Daniel.
Avengers and Spider-Man.
How
and
many
everything,
Peter tinkles
so.
did it get?
Yeah, you can't give
This
this
is its own
Frankencastles.
universe. It gets its own rating.
Yeah. So
He does have a point, though. It does change your mindset on
He
that.
does.
I don't want the
I
car
did.
driving away hobbled. So I'll give it 4 because it has to have solid ground.
I'm going to give it 3 and a donut.
Unless it's a motorcycle.
But yeah, otherwise I would just
Yeah.
give it like the
4
Power
minutes.
Stone and the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
It's got 2
Okay.
Infinity Stones.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end this. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Let's Discuss. And be sure to like, subscribe, share with everyone that
Even
you know.
your grandma.
Yes, even your grandmother, who probably went and saw this movie before you.
My grandma just got a smartphone, so she might actually listen.
Mimi, check it out.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out. And we'll see you guys next time.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend